All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. My name is Zarinah Elamine, and this is going to be another Power Author moment. So, this is a chance for us to interview and get to know new authors who have released their books out into the world. We get to see more of the backstory of why they decided to write this book. We get to hear more of their fears and apprehensions that went into publishing, and then ultimately their triumphs, right? Their triumphs on actually making it happen. So today I'm super excited because I've been wanting to do this for a little while now, some months or so. I've been really wanting to be able to sit down and talk to this young lady because I find her story very interesting. Yumn is a nurse by trade, but she has just decided that she's been bit by the travel bug, and now she travels the world as well. And so we're going to talk to her about how she balances her regular life with travel. We're going to talk about some of her ways of approaching travel, and then also some of the things that she is doing coming up forward. All right, so I'm going to bring her in and then we'll formally introduce her book and all of that. All right. So everybody, you have to give her a warm Facebook welcome in the comments. So give her a warm Facebook welcome. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam, Zarinah. How are you? And everybody else.
I'm doing well. Alhamdulillah, I'm doing well. All right. So this book, I'll spend my 9 lives traveling. I'll spend my 9 lives traveling. Now, you didn't come out of the womb a traveler. So I want to kind of go backwards just to kind of get a bit of a feel of, where you grew up, your family structure, and then we'll kind of get into the traveling. All right.
Okay.
All right. So where were you born? Where did you grow up? What's your family like?
All right. So I was born in Ann Arbor, Michigan, grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and I'm still basically right next door to Ann Arbor, Michigan, Ypsilanti now, but I've never left. I've never left this small town. But all my immediate family is here. My parents, my 3 brothers, my sister, and now all of my sister-in-laws and nieces, nephews. So my immediate family, we're all based in the Ann Arbor, Ypsi area.
All right. So at the risk of sounding stupid, I'm going to ask one of those questions that most people ask, like, different looking people. Like, where are your parents from?
Oh, what do you mean? Uh, from Libya originally. So North Africa, not to be confused with Bolivia and not to be confused with Lebanon. From Libya.
From Libya. So have you gone to Libya? Have you, like, did you grow up going there every summer, visiting there?
Actually, with all the travels I've ever done, one of the places, unfortunately, I have not been able to visit is Libya. So, for political reasons at first, now for safety reasons, but one day that is like definitely where I want to go.
Yes, we can't wait. We definitely can't wait. All right. So, I know you did not grow up traveling back to your family home, and you really didn't start traveling until you were a little bit older or so. So, I kind of want to hear, the story of how you got into this traveling thing because you're a nurse by trade. That's correct, right? All right. And how long have you been a nurse?
8 years now.
Okay, 8 years or so. So, like you're not a professional traveler, if you will. So, how did you get into traveling?
I mean, I guess in my 20s and teens, I never really thought about traveling. Like that just wasn't necessarily on my radar.
Mhm.
Especially knowing that I couldn't go to Libya, like it was forever in my mind that, if I'm going to go somewhere, I want to go to my home country. But
Mhm.
possibility. Um, so I would hear other people talking about all the different places they've been to. And I just found that, I couldn't really share in those conversations. And I decided, I want to leave the country. The first time I left the country, I was like, I want more. I have a bit of an addictive personality. So once I like something, I just can't get enough of it.
Once you like something, you just can't get enough of it. All right. So, tell us about that first trip that you took out of the country.
Well, the first trip, like when I
The
just
first,
crossed.
first, the
Uh,
first, first, first.
The first trip was um, not very exciting. It was literally me just driving into Canada, which is like a 45-minute, 1 hour drive, just to say I left the country. Like
Mhm.
Canada's right there. How many times have I seen Canada from Detroit, like right over the Detroit River, and I never went there. So it was very. It was not planned. It was just a last minute. Me and my friend deciding, hey, let's cross the border, let's go to Canada, let's do this, and say I left the country, and
How
it went.
old were you then?
I don't know. I think I must have been like 19, early 20s,
Uh-huh.
late teens. I can't even remember. But
Okay.
still living with my parents, and they didn't know I went.
They would probably be like, listen. So do you think did your parents did they travel when you were young?
Just domestically, like we did a lot of traveling within the states, but no, my parents couldn't even go back to Libya, for the first 30 or so years of my life either. So no, we never really left the country. My parents didn't leave the
Mhm.
country. I didn't leave the country. Like for me, when I was younger, it was more like if I can't go to Libya, why am I gonna want to go anywhere else? But once I kind of let go of the idea that I might not ever really be able to go there, I got to start thinking about going to other places.
Mm. All right. So your first trip was kind of whack. I won't say whack. I'll just say uneventful, right?
I
And
mean, I
we
got stuck there. I couldn't come back. But I learned a lesson that if you're paying to get into a country, you're gonna have to pay to get out of the country too. So yes.
so that's hilarious. So in the book, you guys, so in her book, I'll spend my nine lives traveling. Yumn comes up with like different. She has different stories, and she goes through country by country, if you will, of her some of her experiences, not all of her travel experiences, but some of her travel experiences. And the reason I like it is because she shares both the good things that happen, but then also some of the challenges. And I know a lot of people, when they travel, they get afraid of like, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this? And they feel like if those things happen, it's going to be the end of the world. Like that's just it, it's the end of the world. But your book kind of shows us that you can come back. You can come back from those type of instances. So I want to jump to Morocco before we get to Senegal, which is what you and I experienced together. We went together there. But I want to jump to Morocco because Morocco sort of really inspired, I think, a lot of, I would say, I guess, maybe your views towards traveling, and even maybe getting over fears and such. So can you tell us a little bit about what happened in Morocco? Set up the trip for us. Like you decide that you're going to go, you buy the ticket, and you get there. Like set it up for us and what happened in Morocco.
Yeah, so me and my sister, at this point we've traveled to a few countries. You know, in our minds, we're professional travelers, right? Like we've always been safe. I mean, I had been to Cuba and other places where people warned me before, like, oh, it's not safe. You can't be too cautious. It's not safe out there. And I've always found my experiences were the contrary. Like the people were always nice, welcoming. I always felt safe. So I'm thinking in my mind, I'm going to Morocco, out of country that's going to be familiar to me. Most of the people are Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
I really had no fears or worries. So me and my sister planned out this whole, like, we were going to drive around from city to city, and not just stay in one place, and I was the one
Mm-hmm.
who's going to be driving. So I don't know if you want me to get into the stories, but let me just tell you that from all of the countries that I've traveled to, the place where I felt the most unsafe was in Morocco, unfortunately. And I met some good people there, some really good people, and then I've come across some, not so good people who, where I was actually like we were afraid for our lives, but
Mm-hmm.
we made it out alive. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, without giving away too much, and I'm usually one I like tell, but I think without giving away too much, I kind of want to get into this a little bit deeper though, because I feel like a lot of women are afraid, right? Like many women want to travel. I'm sure you've had a lot of people that come up to you and ask you questions about traveling, solo travel, or whether you're traveling with one person. And so like how did you navigate the fears that I think for this one story, let's just tell this one story. Let's tell this one and then they can find out the rest of it in the book. But I think this is an important discussion for women, especially women that are traveling without, big families and stuff like that. So tell us what happened in Morocco and then we'll go into the other questions I have.
You're talking about when my car got stuck in the mud, or are you talking about in the mountains when our GPS cut out?
Yeah, I think let's do the mountains when the GPS. No, actually, let's do both because they're both gonna do the mountains first, and then we'll do the other one.
Okay. So definitely I would say my biggest advice is prepare yourselves before you travel. Like I'm kind of spontaneous and impulsive, and if a place, I feel like it's calling to me, I'm going to go there, and not always that prepared or plan that much, and definitely you want to like search up, Google, find out, talk to people, is the place safe or not. Anyways, I clearly did not do that. But me and my sister were based in Tanger, and we wanted to go to Chefchaouen, which is like about an hour and a half, 2 hours away. But it's based in the mountains. It's like this beautiful city that is really high up in the mountains. And to get there, you just have to drive pretty much the whole time through mountains. And this is like rugged terrain. Like these are not like, well paved roads with like lines and whose lane is whose. And then, there's really no barriers between you and the edge of the mountain, at
Mm-hmm.
times. So our way there was beautiful because we left super early. So we could see everything clearly. It was very beautiful. We stopped a lot. Finally made it to Chefchaouen. But our whole plan was that we were going to come back before dark because we didn't want to drive through those mountains in the dark. And
Dark
also
be
another,
that time. Let me just say right quick. Dark is that time. Like when you're in a strange place, usually you always try to get in. You try to get in before dark. So the night is falling. Okay.
yeah, so that was our whole plan, right? Like, but we took too much time getting there. And the other thing I need to mention is that, like, when we rented the car, because our phones don't work, we don't have Wi-Fi there, we don't have data. We're really disconnected. So the only times our phone worked was we had paid for the car that we rented. We paid for like this router, or I don't even know what you want to call it, Wi-Fi adapter, whatever, so that we could
Yeah.
have Wi-Fi in the car, so that we could use our GPS. So this is like our sole connection to like our phones and GPS and communication outside of Morocco. So we have that. We get to Chefchaouen. Everything's great. We love the city. We spend way too much time there, and the whole time we're there, we're like, we really should head back. We really should head back. So we start heading back when the sun starts setting.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're heading back, talking about what a great time we had, this router stops working, and I no longer have GPS, and I no longer know where I'm driving. And mind you, there are also no lampposts, there's no lights, and this is like a pitch dark where, I mean, it was dark, and the roads are dark, and then you just see these like luminous or ominous mountains, really. Uh, and so we didn't know what to do. And along the way, like there's little tents. We just decided, hey, or I decided, let's just pull up. My sister was against everything.
She's the smart one. I'll say the cautious one.
Yes. I mean, yes. Okay, she's the cautious one. So
Yeah.
we pull over to the side of the road, and we stay in front of this tent. And I tell my sister that we really have no other options. We're just gonna have to just stay posted in front of this tent. And I wanted to sleep. I mean, as scary as everything was, I was still tired. I had done all the driving. Also, to my defense, my sister doesn't know how to drive a stick shift or a manual car,
Mm-hmm.
so she can't drive. I'm the one who has to do all of the driving. So I was tired. I drove through the mountains. Anyways, so we pull over. She's scared. I'm a little scared too, but I'm more tired. So I tell my sister that, how about we just take turns sleeping while the other person is lookout. And my sister couldn't sleep, so I told her I'll sleep. She'll be lookout. And I woke up to my sister, tapping me and calling my name, and this bright light shining on us. I mean, without getting too much into it, basically this car was like, and it was a big car too, and our car was small, so it was kind of just like, towering over us. My sister's panicking. I roll down my window because I see this car right next to us, and this guy with his head out the window, and these bright lights. And the first thing I'm thinking, this is the police, because I don't know if this is legal or not. I'm just on the side of the road in the mountains. And the guy asked what we're doing there. And I was a little bit relieved, to be honest, because I thought this is the police, right? Like, they're going to help us. So, also I was just waking up too, right? Like, so I didn't have time to process what's happening. So the guy asked what we're doing there. I basically give up way more information than I should have. Like, even if he asked what are we doing there, I didn't have to tell him, that like we're from the US, our phones don't work, our router stopped. We really don't know how to get back to Tundra. We're basically there, disconnected from the world. It's just me and my sister, and we're just vulnerable. And if anybody wants to do anything, hey, we're here. Nobody will ever find out. So tell them everything. I really thought I was trying to get myself out of trouble if it was the police, right? Like, I was pleading my case.
Right.
Anyways, based off of his responses to me, I soon realized he was not the police. And when I really was out of that brain fog of just waking up, I realized it wasn't even just this guy. It was 3 other men, and they didn't have good intentions. They jump out of the car. They try to surround our car. I just start driving, not knowing where I'm going. They jump back in their car, and they start following us really fast too. So they must have known. I mean, they're from there, right?
They know the roads. Like, you're the stranger. You don't know the roads, but they know these roads.
Right. So they're like, in that moment when they were out of their car, it was a scary moment because they really came and tried to surround us. I mean, if one was in front of me, I would have still drove and hit him because I got out of there so fast. They jumped in their car real fast too, and were following us pretty fast. And it was scary because as I'm driving away and it's dark, I don't know if I take one of those turns. Is this like a cliff turn? Do I have enough space? Am I going to take a white? It was because even when I was driving 2 shifts down during the day, I was still cautious. Right. So I had to drive fast in the dark, not knowing where I was going. Eventually, I think they kind of gave up on following us. And eventually our router did kick in and we made it.
How long do you think they were following you?
I say 10-15 minutes.
That's a long time when you're scared.
And I don't know, and I didn't know which direction I was going in either, I mean, I knew I just didn't know where I was heading to,
Yeah. So. Yeah, I think, man, that this is like one of the biggest nightmares when people are traveling. Like, you think of something like this, like, oh my God. Because I'm thinking, like, I just came from Costa Rica. I think you've been to Costa Rica, right? You've been?
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. Yes. So, like, when you're driving in those mountains, especially like on those little 2 highway lanes, and if your stuff goes out and it's dark and there's no street lights, so you don't know how to get around, like, you're already freaked out from that. And then to have these people chasing you, like, super duper afraid. I don't remember how early this was in the trip though. Was this like the beginning of the trip or like towards the middle or end?
No, this was towards the end. So like our car getting stuck was like day 1, right? But like this one was towards the end because I think we just had one more day left where we had a plan, but we just bailed out on that plan because we were so exhausted. But yeah, it was the very end of the trip.
All right. So for those of you who are just joining us, I'm going to dive into this because I think that this is important. I want to juxtapose it though with something else that happened that was way better and a much better, look at humans. But while you're joining us, I am here with Yumn, who is the author of I'll Spend My 9 Lives Traveling. And it's about her travels around different parts of the world, right? Really around different parts of the world. It's like a travel log. It gives us an insider's view into a real person, an everyday person that buys their ticket online, goes across, rents a car, or finds different hotels, and how you just navigate a whole different country and a whole different culture. So I really like it because it actually gives you the ins and outs of a real person's travels. So we've just learned of this like harrowing experience where she and her sister are in Morocco. They are in the pitch black dark on the side of the mountain, in the mountainous area, and trying to wait for their GPS signal to come back so that they can actually navigate and get to where they're trying to go. But they're exhausted. It's dark. They don't know what to do. And then these, what do you call these type of jerks? Like thugs, these
Mountain thugs.
thugs,
They were
mountain
mountain.
thugs. These little mountain thugs thought they were some fresh meat and they were just going to do whatever they felt like doing, right? So she hightails it out of there and thankfully, lives to say the day, right? But that I don't want to leave you with that type of view of Morocco because like any place you have good people, you have thugs, right? And so I want to kind of go to the cover of this book and let's share this one last story and we'll talk about some other things I think around fear and some other stuff as travel. But let's share this story just to kind of give people an idea of the both sides, if you will, of traveling. So tell us kind of what we're looking at on the screen and how this relates to your trip.
Oh,
Can
so
you see it? It's the cover. It's the book cover. Sorry.
no, I can see it, and actually, many people. So I'm glad that you're addressing this. Asked why I chose this cover, because although the pictures in the book are black and white, if you can actually see the picture of the car we rented, which was a blue little car like that, it this is like the scenery, the scenario we were in. This blue little car in like the dirt road, grassy fields, sheep scattered. Um, that was like day 1 or 2 into Morocco when our car got stuck, and that was definitely the scenery.
Hmm. Wait, you just said our car got stuck. Like, tell them this story. It's
Oh,
okay.
I
Yeah.
didn't know you wanted me to get in the story. I thought you wanted me to talk about the cover. So yeah, I'll tell you the story. So we rent this car. The car is a little blue car, and first of all, there's like all this construction, right? So we get to Tundra, and it's like there's a lot of construction, right? So we have our GPS, and we wanted to go to the Cave of Hercules. That was like the first thing we wanted to do because it wasn't too far from where we were staying. So with all of this construction, our GPS is like rerouting us over and over again, and literally like the way it was rerouting us, though, we could see the main street that we needed to get on, but we just didn't know how we could get there because all the roads were literally not just closed off with like the cones or like, I mean, we're talking about bricks and concrete and just broken pieces of building that were like real roadblocks to this street that we needed to get to. So after we had, spun around 10 times the same place, and I was like, this is a maze we're never going to get out of. I, told my sister, I'm just going to cut through the grass because there's like this big field, right? But on the other side of the field was the road I needed to get to. Really, I don't think I had any other options. Or at the time, I didn't think I had any other options. So, it's day 2. We had come in at night. So this is like our first full day. So maybe it rained, the day before. I don't know. But the grass was like wet and muddy, and I didn't realize that because I was thinking, it's hot here. I'm going to drive right over the grass. It's going to be real easy, and we're going to get to the other side. But it wasn't that easy because as we start driving, I mean, we got to go over the grass for a little bit. I noticed the car was slowing down, and the car got stuck. And once it was stuck and I tried like revving up the engine, I was just getting us deeper and deeper, literally into like the mud. So we didn't know what to do. So I told my sister, you know what? Like, we got to get out of the car. We'll walk to the road. Hopefully somebody will stop, and help us.
Were you calm? Because some people handle adversities, like kind of calm, like how you're saying right now. I told my sister we're stuck. We got to get out. We got to walk. Like, were you calm like that, or
Yeah.
were you freaking out?
No, actually, I'm pretty much always calm. Even in the situation with the guy in the mountains, the guys in the mountain, I was calm. I mean, the moment I realized, oh, we're in a bad situation, I kind of just like the adrenaline took over. But for the most part, I am pretty calm. So, we're debating like what we're gonna do. My sister was freaking out a little bit more, and I feel like maybe with my sister, I'm a little more calm because if I'm not calm, and she sees me freaking out, she's gonna freak out even more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I might freak out internally, but I definitely keep it cool. But she definitely keeps me level headed and like makes me really think about the things that the choices that I want to make. Because one of the things I wanted to do was literally just ditch the car. Like, what are we going to do with the car? I'm like, let's just forget about the car, leave the car, it's stuck in the mud. We're starting from scratch. I was like, you can't just do that because this is a car rental and we're still responsible for the car. So we got to get it out. So we walk. We really didn't know what was going to happen. We just said, let's walk to this. It must have been their highway, but it wasn't like it was just one lane in one direction, one lane the other, but it was the main road. So we go there and we're just kind of hanging out on the side of the road, really, just waiting. I mean, we weren't hitchhiking or anything. Didn't have the thumbs up because different signals mean different things in different countries.
That's true.
So we just kind of stood there, hoping that somebody would take pity on us and stop. And there were so many cars, there were so many trucks that passed us. The only person who stopped for us was this guy in this like buggy. All right, it was like a little buggy, and he had his tools in the back, and it was like a 1 or 2 seater in the front. And he stopped and asked what we were doing, and I just kind of pointed to the car. I was like, "Hey, our car got stuck there, and we can't get it out, and we don't know what to do, and our feet are muddy, are nasty because we had to walk through this mud." And the guy kind of looked us up and down, and just shook his head because he didn't understand how our car was stuck in the middle of this field. But he just told us, he said, all right, I can help you guys get in we didn't even get into like a car, like with seats. We got in the back where all his tools were, like this empty, or this bed in the back of, I don't know what you want to call it. But anyway, we're sitting in the back of there. He's driving. We don't even know where he's taking us. He just said he could help. And he gave me good vibes, like, I told my sister the
You
other time.
can feel the energy sometimes. That's true. But it also helps that you guys spoke the language, like you could understand what he was saying. Was he speaking he was speaking Moroccan Arabic?
Yeah, he was speaking Arabic. Okay. Yeah, he didn't speak English. So, yeah, we were able to communicate with him. I'm sure he knew, though, that we're not, like, from Morocco, is different. Probably just took pity on us. And he drives us to this like little town. And
wait, before y'all get in, was your sister like, nah, we shouldn't get in the car, or was she she felt good too?
She felt good too. So we both were like, all right, this guy, has good vibes. And honestly, we really didn't have any other options. And it was probably better actually that we got in his buggy and we're in this open space in the back and not like inside of a vehicle. You know what I mean? Like we could jump out if we needed to. We talked about all this stuff, we were just like sitting like the back of a truck, just the trunk of the car and open space, and we could jump out, if we needed to. That was, we had an escape route. So he took us to this little town. First, he has us wash up our feet. This is what made me know. Yeah, really. He was just like, you guys got to wash your feet. Your feet are nasty. So he took us to this little place where it was kind of like a public wash basin thing. We washed our feet there. And then he took us to a friend's house. And we waited.
I'm laughing because, like, sometimes when you think about it, it's like, what happened? I got stuck on the side. I got stuck in the middle of a field in a place where I don't know anybody. This guy comes up on the side of the road in a buggy. We get in his car. Like, did you know him? No, I didn't know him at all. And then he took us to his friend's house.
Actually, when you say it like that, I'm like, I wouldn't even believe you if you told me this story. But it's true. I have videos because I was videotaping us in the back of the buggy. I think we even left messages. If somebody finds our phone and we're lost after this is where we last were. We have pictures, videos, all of that. So, how does wash your feet? Takes us to a friend's house. We wait outside. 2 guys come out. I see him explaining to him the situation because the guys are just looking at us, looking back at their friend like, what are we getting ourselves into? Anyway, so we get into a different car, like an actual real car. And I'm sitting in the back with my sister, 2 guys in the front, 1 other guy sitting in the back with us, and the driver is literally just looking at us the whole time from the rear view mirror, like kind of just looking at us in disbelief and shaking his head and looking at us in disbelief, shaking his head. And then even at one point, like, asked us, like, do you guys have a brain? Like, I was offended, but I also understood. Anyway, these guys, they end up being so nice. They take us to the car. I didn't know what they were going to do because they had a car about a little bigger. But they brought cardboard and put the cardboard under the tires. And as I was like revving up the engine, trying to drive, you had some guys in the back pushing. At first, it didn't work, but this is how I know God was with us, like the whole
Mm-hmm.
time, always actually. But
Mm-hmm.
like in this situation, when I say this is like a big open field, there's a house that you can see from far away, but really not much else around. Um, and nobody really, I can't imagine why somebody would just be walking through there. Three or four other guys walk by, and these guys ask them to help, and then we have all of these guys now pushing the back of my car, um, as I'm starting up the engine, and we finally get it out. And when we get the car out, they're all cheering for us and
You're
really
off
happy
the
for us.
road. The reason I love this is because, I always feel like, God puts little angels in different places. And then here you have these men that came, didn't know you from Adam. They didn't know you from anybody else, right? And so they see you on the side of the road. He stops in his little work buggy, and then he takes his time. He doesn't know how long this is going to take. Like he takes his time, gets to get some help, and then they actually get, your car out. And I just love it because there are so many good people in the world. Like there are really a lot of good people. And I think these stories are the ones that are predominant in travel. These are the ones that I've experienced most often. And what about you though? Like in all of your travels, have you had the more harrowing times, or have you had the more of these types of times in your other experiences?
Oh, definitely more of the good times, meeting many great people, meeting many beautiful souls. Um, Definitely, yeah.
So, like, what's your driving force now? Are you somebody that's just going to keep traveling, or um, what do you want to do? Do you feel like you might want to live abroad? What's your thing?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna keep traveling for now. I mean, I have my two kids, right, who are still high school age. Um, so I would not uproot them from their like hometown or their family to move somewhere else. But at the same time, too, I'm not gonna leave them. So, I definitely think down the road, when my kids are on their own, that I want to try living somewhere else. Like, definitely, I want to experience what it's like to live somewhere else because I've never lived anywhere else.
Mhm.
Um, Other than that, like I said, Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Michigan area. So
Mhm.
I would love to, but that's not anywhere, not the near future. But for now, I'm gonna keep traveling.
Keep traveling. So, what's your number one tip? What's a couple of tips that you want to give for other people that maybe don't have as much experience or just getting into traveling? They're a little bit afraid. Like, what's some of your number one tips?
Number one tip is never think any place is off limits. I mean, maybe North Korea, right? But I'm still thinking that I might be able to get into North Korea.
Oh Lord, that's true. Don't let us have to come and send no rescue crews out there.
Oh yeah, can I not say that? I'm sorry. Um, but people talk, oh, you can't go to Cuba. I'm like, you sure can, and I went twice. So never think that any place is too far, too foreign. Um,
But you did say Libya. You said Libya was like maybe maybe not ever be able to go there.
I'm gonna go there, inshallah. I mean, I feel like I will. Yes, inshallah, I'll be able to go to Libya. So I mean,
Mhm.
I'm actually thinking now, like, there's hopefully plans to go soon.
Okay, okay, cool. All right, so before I let you go though, because I want like you and I organize trips. For those of you who don't know, I have been organizing trips. I usually try to do at least one or two a year, but COVID and life were lifing, and I wasn't able to do any for the last couple of years. But I organized this trip to Senegal, and you came, and it was a long trip. Like that was my longest. That was a long trip. I think it was like, was it 16
Weeks.
days?
Yeah, it was 2 weeks. That was my longest trip too.
Yeah, that was a long time. And it was a group. And, like there's a big difference between going by yourself and having like full freedom and every day you can just get in the car, do whatever you want to do. And then having like an organized group where you're kind of like, you don't have to come up with the full plans, but you also have to like follow the plan, if you will. You don't have all of the freedom that's the same as far as solo trips. So there's pros and cons to both of them and such. There's great things and annoying things about both of them. So for you, like, what have you found to be like your rhythm with traveling? Is it solo traveling? Is it you and your sister, like you having one companion? Is it like a group trip every once in a while? Like, what's your kind of what you find for yourself?
Definitely don't like solo travel. I'll tell you that much. Like I've done it. Um, I prefer if I'm gonna do solo travel, I'm gonna meet somebody. The place I'm
Mm.
going, I do not like traveling by myself. Like
Why?
being alone because you have nobody to talk to, nobody to share your experience with. Like, I think it's the shared experience is what
Mm.
makes it the most memorable. Like to have somebody that you can talk about things that happened in the trip and the memories, and they can see what you saw, because you can talk about your travels all you want, but if you haven't seen it yourself, it's very different hearing it than experiencing it, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's just having that shared experience that makes it really like even more beautiful for me. I do like group travel once in a while, right?
Yeah.
Once in a great while, actually. So, just because there's a lot more planning, and as you know, like
Yeah.
I'm just kind of I like to just go with the flow and whatever comes up. If I want to change my plan last minute, you know, um, I can if I'm by myself or with my sister. Or in a very small group. With a big group, you kind of have to accommodate everyone, but it is nice.
Yeah.
So I would really say that traveling with my sister is my favorite. Because we already know how to travel so well together.
Mhm.
Um, and she's my sister, right? So like, if I'm going to share that experience with anyone, I love sharing it with her.
Yeah, and you get to kind of look back and as you said, have those shared memories and such with her. I do like solo travel in some ways because I feel like I always find myself, honestly, like when I'm solo traveling, I find so many things about myself. And but then also solo travel for me never ends up being just solo because you just meet people there and then you like when I went to Costa Rica, I met this lady Stacy, and then we ended up going like for I think a couple of days. Like we stayed together and just went around. So you end up, meeting people and having fun and such.
Yeah.
But I think the point is that like for those of you who are getting into travel, like try different things. Never feel like you have to only travel one way. You can try different things, see what you like, and there's never a bad trip because you're always going to learn something. You're always going to have some experience or such. All right. So for those of you who haven't gotten the book yet, go to Amazon. You can pick up the book. I'll spend my 9 lives traveling. You see it here, so you can type that in, and it'll come up. And after you read the stories, leave a review on Amazon as well, so that you can reach more people, inshallah. All right. So, any last words or so? Like, what are your last thoughts around travel, around the book, around any of these types of thoughts?
Around travel, I mean, I would say if you haven't traveled, I mean, some people, I find it strange when people tell me they don't like to travel or they don't have any desire to. So I guess you can't really try to convince somebody otherwise. But it really just takes you outside of your bubble. Like you just have a whole different perspective on life, and it really just makes you realize that there's just so much more out there. We get so stuck in our own bubble and our own lives and thinking that this is all there is, and it's not. People live all different kinds of ways, and there's no right way, no wrong way necessarily. And it's I don't know. It really expands your mind and your horizons to see how other people live. Around the book, I mean, I didn't write this book so that, it would be a bestseller or that, I didn't write the book to, for the sake of like, having this book out there is more having the memories out there, right? And for like the people
Mm.
that, wanted to know about my travels, um, I put everything down there because I don't. I mean, I think anybody who really knows me knows I don't really talk too much about my travels. It's
Yeah,
kind of
you
hard for
really
me.
don't. You just be like we may get lucky if we see one picture or something.
No, I would post pictures, right? But
Not
like
that
this,
many.
I don't have Facebook anymore. It's been a
Mhm.
long. I haven't had Facebook, but I would post pictures, but like the actual like telling of the stories, it's kind of exhausting. Actually, that's what I'm saying. Like I love that shared experience
Mm.
because you don't really have to tell what happened. The other person already knows, and you know. But I just wanted to write this down so that people who know me can read it. Can especially my kids and my family. This is their first time hearing these stories. But then also too, if it helps anybody, or whether with their travels or making them feel courageous enough to start traveling, or even if they just enjoyed it, whatever good it brings out there, I'm happy with
Yeah.
it.
Well, I like that you also had some tips on like, saving money and those types of things too. The practical side. So it's the practical side as well as, the inspirational side. So, all right, my love. So, you all go and grab the book. It's called I'll Spend My Nine Lives Traveling. And you get a snippet into different countries from a real life person, a real person that's buying their own tickets with their own money, not any sponsored trip or
But
whatever like
who does
that.
go on trips with their own money? Like I need to be part of that.
We're working towards it though. Influencers who may get something sponsored or you
Just
know
joking. I'll spend my own money. I'll spend my
but you're a nurse. You can become a traveling nurse.
one day, inshallah.
Yeah.
My kids, growing up and being on their own.
I know. I have 9 more years. I count down until my retirement time. So I got like 8 because she's 9 years old. So I'm counting down the years. When she gets there, it's gonna be out and out. So inshallah. All right, so go back to your coffee,
Thank you.
your tea, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us.
All right, thank you. Salam. Bye, everybody.
Bye.